What's going on, everybody? Rachel West back with Rick Stroud and Joey Knight, gearing up for some Monday Night Football, Bucs versus Saints. Obviously, guys, the Bucs are coming off of a pretty brutal loss up in Cleveland.
Yep.
Doesn't get any easier, Rick. Come Monday, they're going up against a Saints team that they've struggled with a lot here recently.
Yeah, they really have, mightily, and they struggle with their defense primarily. I mean, you go back to the game that the Bucs finally broke a 7-game losing streak in the regular season. That game was 3-3 with about 8 minutes to go, and Jameis Winston threw a couple interceptions, gave him a short field, and the Bucs win. But the last 2 times the Saints have come to Raymond James, they've given up 0 and 3 points. This is a defense that knows how to get after Tom Brady. They've got some elite players on that defensive line and on the whole defensive front. They've been together for a long time. So in a way, this has been, since Brady has been a Buccaneer, his kryptonite. This is the team that he got over the hump when it counted in the playoffs in New Orleans and went on to win a Super Bowl. But since then, and every other time then, the Saints have been a tough out. So I know we'll talk about the offensive line, but this is not a good matchup for the Bucs right now. And if you look down the road, they got San Francisco on the road, a very good defense there as well, and then they come home to play one of the hottest teams in the AFC, the Cincinnati Bengals. So a critical game for the Bucs.
Absolutely, getting ready for a tough stretch here to finish out the year. And Joey, there's a familiar face on that Saints offense. We probably won't get to see him play. Jameis Winston, backup quarterback right now, but it seems as though the Saints are probably going to be sticking with Dalton.
Yeah, this will be Jameis's 3rd return trip to Tampa since his departure from the Bucs, and this will be the 3rd year in a row he likely won't play. He injured his back in week 1, and he tried to grimace his way through the next 2 games, including that loss to the Bucs, and he hasn't played since. The Saints have opted to go with 35-year-old Andy Dalton, whose passing numbers haven't been terrible, but they're 3-6 with him as a starter. They've lost 3 of their last 4, and he's been sacked 10 times over those last 4 games, but still, they feel he gives them a better chance, evidently, than Jameis. And Jameis has said it hurts his soul that he's lost his job due to an injury. I think he feels like he's healthy enough to come in and play now, but all indications are we'll see Andy Dalton. So that means the 3rd consecutive year we'll see Jameis on the other sideline and staying on the sideline at Raymond James.
Yep. You mentioned health did him in. Speaking of health, Rick, that's something that the Bucs don't have too much of right now. And you mentioned earlier, particularly on the O-line, Tristan Wirfs going down last week. He's going to be out for the foreseeable future here. How much does that hurt them up front there?
Oh, it's brutal. I mean, you're facing Cam Jordan and Demario Davis and guys that have really gotten after this offensive line when it was together. If you look at it, the only starter that's going to play on Monday night on that offensive line is Donovan Smith from the Super Bowl and from last year's playoff team. And Donovan Smith right now is playing really bad football, one of the worst. Now he hyperextended his elbow. He missed a couple of games. That might be a factor, but he's given up 6 sacks, which is 3rd in the NFL among players, and he's given up 7 penalties, which is 11th. So he's not playing good football. They're going to start Josh Wells at right tackle. Of course, we know the problems they've had inside. So this is not the week or next week against the 49ers. You want to be without your best all-pro offensive lineman and tackle in Tristan Wirfs, but Donovan Smith has to play better, and I know they're really concerned about that offensive line.
And so, Joey, those are the problems on the offensive front. Defensively, though, they're also struggling. That secondary is pretty beat up.
Yeah, especially on the back end. They're decimated. Mike Edwards has a hamstring injury, and Antoine Winfield, he hurt his ankle last week against Cleveland. We have not seen them practice yet, so we're not sure they're going to be in play for Monday. Logan Ryan, the veteran, the good news is he's been designated to return from IR. We've seen him out here moving around pretty well. It's looking like he could be activated for Monday, so that's a glimmer of hope. But if Edwards and Winfield can't go, you're looking at Keanu Neal getting a lot of snaps back there. The rookie Nolan Turner from Clemson getting a lot of snaps back there. And if somebody else goes down Monday night, it's a really hairy situation, Rick. I don't know quite what they do with safety, but it's going to be, as it stands, all healthy hands on deck Monday night, and they can ill afford another injury.
Nope, it's going to be tough for them and an extremely tough test, as we talked about, going up against the Saints. But we'll see if maybe they can bring out some of that playoff magic that they did against them. So we'll see how it goes over in Ray J Monday night against the Saints. Make sure you guys are keeping up with all of our Bucs coverage that we have for you over on social media at Sports by Tampa Bay Times, as well as over at tampabay.com.